This January window may actually go down in the history books. In today's video, we have even more Enzo Fernandez updates as he is dropped from today's Benfica game versus Braga. To move on, we discuss alternatives to Enzo Fernandez in case the deal collapses in the form of MacAllister from Brighton, as well as some sensational news that has broken, suggesting that we are looking to hijack Arsenal's move to sign Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk. Tons of things are happening in this window. Todd Boehly is here to spend to improve and upgrade his team, and honestly you guys, I am absolutely here for it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. I hope you guys are enjoying the content recently too. Feel generous and hit that like button, and please get involved in the comments. But before we get into anything, let me get one big plug out of the way first. Today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in One Football. This January window may go down in the record books. We aren't the only clubs looking to spend big. And for me, this is where One Football is the app I use personally every single day because it is the easiest, quickest way to stay up to date to all the latest news and articles around the January transfer window. For example, there's an article here, 5 transfers to watch in this January. Naturally, Enzo Fernandez will top the list, but on top of this, there's still a ton of other transfers that may still happen throughout this window. If you're a football fan, honestly, I think you're really going to enjoy this app, and that's not the only function here. For example, get ready to vote for your outcome in our game versus Nottingham Forest on the 1st of January. Get your kickoff information here, and once the game actually starts and team news does get released, then it's an easy way to find out how the teams could look like. But in the meantime, here's the predicted lineup for the game for this Sunday. These are many small examples of why this app is so handy and useful to have. Honestly guys, I recommend that you download it for yourself. You'll find a link below in the description and in the top comment. Now earlier this afternoon, I did release a big info dump behind everything Enzo Fernandez and his potential move to our club. So I recommend that you guys watch today's video. But in the meantime, we have some smaller updates that have dropped as this day has gone on. And right now, Fernandez has been placed on the bench in Benfica's game versus Braga. Now at the time of recording the video, it was confirmed prior that Enzo would be on the bench in tonight's game versus Braga. But fast forward a few more hours and after discussion with Benfica's manager, Enzo will now be starting in the game tonight instead. What does this mean? Well, I don't think it means anything. Benfica will still take a few days to analyse the offer received. But I never felt like Enzo wasn't fit enough or ready to start in the game tonight. So it's quite interesting. And for me, it's more about Enzo's personality of wanting to play all the time and not missing out on game time due to the transfer links around him. At this point in time, we have the green light from Enzo Fernandez. Now, some small rumours are coming out suggesting that we have offered him around 10 million euros a year, plus offering him a contract which takes him to 2028, which I'd imagine would also have like extra clauses inserted in that deal to extend his contract in the future. You know, we understand that Todd Boehly likes to give performance-related contracts to incentivize his players to perform, live up to their potential, and naturally they'll get rewarded by earning more money. So I feel like we'll do something quite similar. So currently at this point in time, the only thing stopping a deal happening is the fact that we need to find a payment structure deal with Benfica. But in my opinion, as time goes on, I feel that Benfica will naturally sway and give in. And that's because of a few things. Number one, the market for a player like Enzo Fernandez is not very big at all. I mean, how many clubs out there in Europe can afford to pay around 100 million to sign a midfield player now? You're looking at Real Madrid, but their eyes are on Jude Bellingham. Barcelona can only afford 3 deals at this point in time. Paris Saint-Germain could, but it feels like they already have profiles in their midfields that kind of are similar to Fernandez, so they don't necessarily need him. Yeah, Man City potentially, but that would imply that one midfield player is leaving them if they were to make a move. So hypothetically, even if Benfica got their way, persuaded Fernandez to remain until the summer, realistically, who's going to offer around 120 million or even 150 million if Benfica really got their way and Fernandez agreed to signing a new contract extension? I don't see it happening. The big news is Fernandez has given us the green light. This will force Benfica, in my opinion, to have to comply, help negotiate to find terms that fit them, but most importantly, fit us as well too. Now we have some more context behind this deal. We know that we made our first bid to sign Fernandez the day of the Bournemouth game, and the reason why we're targeting Fernandez with so much haste right now is that our new technical advisor in Christopher Vivell has strongly recommended we make a move for him right now. I mean, there's no way you're going to undermine your technical advisor when you've spent so many months waiting for this deal to go over the line. And I can see exactly why Vivell has said that we are one of the most exciting clubs in European football and why he couldn't turn down the offer. Because if you have unlimited funds to sign the players that you want, these opportunities don't come around often at club football at this level. In my opinion, based on all the news, only my opinion, so you don't have to take my word for anything, of course not. But I'm just going to say I feel optimistic and I'm feeling a little bit confident, I can't lie to you guys. So let's hope that we can find the payment structure to get this deal over the line. And right now, let's move on to contingency plans in case we don't actually sign Fernandes and the price is too big. This evening, we had some big reports from the UK, courtesy of The Guardian. Now, for my international viewers, I can understand that, names like The Guardian, The Independent, that means absolutely nothing to you. How can you really believe these sources? Well, these are reputable media publications in this country, so if they're reporting something, they're only really doing that if there's a lot of concrete facts and evidence behind these stories. And they report today that we're looking at Mudryk, Shakhtar and MacAllister as a backup plan for Enzo Fernandes. So right now, let's focus on MacAllister first. I'm going to talk about the story, then give my thoughts and opinions afterwards. Anyway, Graham Potter wants to upgrade his midfield in this window, and he is a big fan of MacAllister ever since MacAllister signed for Brighton from, I think, Argentinos Junior, from, of course, the Argentinian league. At 24 years old, one stumbling block behind signing him is that he only recently signed a new contract extension, taking his existing deal to 2025. He had a breakthrough World Cup, and you'd imagine that if Brighton were forced to sell, he will cost an absolute fortune. Now, what's quite funny is that at the start of the season, his transfer value was around 60 million, courtesy of Transfer Market, and right now his value is set at 42 million. So of course, naturally he'll be very expensive, but he won't cost anywhere near the same amount as an Enzo Fernandes. Now, with a player like MacAllister, he's very comfortable playing in many roles across midfield. He can play in a pivot, he can play as a DM, he can play as a CM, he can play as an attacking mid as well too. And for someone like Graham Potter that really believes in formation fluidity, where his teams are interchanging formations as the game's going on, you want players in your team that are comfortable playing in multiple positions to a very high level. So I can understand the common sense behind, working with a player again that you know very well. But right now, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions, and I might sound a little bit negative, but I just have to say, even though I think MacAllister is a good player, let's not get things twisted, he is good, I just don't want us to sign him. I'm sorry, you can't be teasing me with names like Enzo Fernandes or Rafael Leao. You can't be dangling them in front of my face. For me, these players are worth the incredible amounts of money, even though I think all these transfer values are absolutely sickening. It's so crazy how inflated the game has become today. I don't want to talk about that right now, but even though these fees make me feel a bit sick, for certain names like Leao and in particular Enzo Fernandes, who for me is a generational talent, you have to pay these prices to secure the very best players. And for me, I just don't think MacAllister is on that same level at all, especially when he will definitely cost you more than 50 or 55 billion. Right now, I don't want to sign anyone that is not upgrading this team and taking us to a different level. These are the players who are worth the value and the cost. Players like MacAllister, even though they're very good, I find it interesting because, he was once a young player coming from Argentina who Graham Potter developed over the years to now become the player he currently is. For me, we should turn towards what we have if we can't sign guys like Enzo Fernandes in this current window. I mean, we literally signed Graham Potter because he has a history of developing and improving players and taking them to the next level. So let him do that with the excellent prospects we have at this football club. I mean, for God's sake, I'd rather keep Andre Santos here and let him work with Graham Potter, who has worked with a lot of South American talents. He understands how to work with them. Let him do what he can do instead of big clubs constantly turning to the market for any and every problem. It doesn't make sense to me. It should be in these moments where Potter also makes a name for himself and, let the guy do what he does good and let him develop talents. Don't just go to the market for everything, because imagine in 2-3 years if we don't need MacAllister. Potentially in the long term, that could affect us due to FFP, which could mean that we miss out on signing the player because we don't have the funds. It's happened over the years before at this football club. It doesn't have to happen again. If you can't get these signings, wait for them for the next window and use what you have, in my opinion. So right now, let's end things by discussing the breaking story today, the shocking story, and that's the news that we are looking to hijack Arsenal to sign Shakhtar winger in Mudryk, if I'm saying his name right. Yes and no. On one hand, we didn't sign William from Shakhtar, we signed him from Anzi in Russia. But on the other hand, we did beat Spurs at the signing of Willian, when Willian was literally just waiting to put his signature on the paper to make the move official. I feel like we could do the same thing again, but then is this the right signing to make when you've been teasing us with Rafael Leao? Anyway, let's continue on with this story. Recently, Arsenal have had a bid of around 40 million plus 20 million add-ons rejected by Shakhtar, who are hoping to receive around 100 million to sell their star winger. Now, realistically, that is far too much money for a guy that I don't even think has 10 international caps for Ukraine and has only just recently made his breakthrough, so I'm sorry, that makes no sense. The reality is, it's believed that Arsenal feel like they could sign him for a fee closer to around 75 million euros, so that would be 60 mil up front plus 15 million in add-ons. Again, more stupid money. It doesn't make sense, but what does make sense is that both Pulisic and Ziyech could leave us during this January window. So if they do, then we have to go back into the market to sign replacements. And I do think a profile like Mudryk makes a lot of sense. For me, he is very similar in style to like a Vinicius Jr., where players like him have mastered their explosiveness, they've mastered the use of their speed. They're so dangerous in short or long distances. The fear they give to opposition defenders and defensive lines because of their ability to run in behind and hold the width out wide. We saw Raheem Sterling do something similar versus Bournemouth recently, where it was one of his most effective games in God knows how long, playing in a more familiar and comfortable position, and it's quite obvious that Graham Potter likes to have natural wingers holding the width. That's why Trossard really blew up under him, and that's the type of profile that we need to really take his football ideas to that next level. So I can understand why you're looking at Mudryk, who I would probably say is one of the most exciting wingers in Europe right now, regardless of the fact that he is playing for Shakhtar. Now, I've seen what he's done in the Champions League this season, and I definitely feel like he announced himself because he was very comfortable playing at this level. I feel like the guy has a really exquisite and elegant dribbling style. I guess it's no surprise that Mudryk's game has gone to the next level because De Zerbi, the former Sassuolo manager, who also used the coach Jeremy Boga, who really blew up playing for him, he knows how to use wingers, and I feel like the way he uses them is quite similar to how Graham Potter uses them. So I can see why Mudryk would be really looked at, especially now that the signing recommendations come from the new staff additions like your Vivels plus many more. Or maybe if we're giving attention to other targets, could that put some type of pressure on AC Milan or Rafael Leao, who, come on, Leao knows that we want him, but he needs to also show a bit more to us that yes, he wants to sign for us. Realistically, if Milan can't find the right contract agreement to satisfy all parties, then Leao could be in a very precarious situation. So I guess the last thing that he'd want to see is his potential backup plan and us not being a backup plan anymore, because things get even riskier now at AC Milan. I don't know, man. I feel like if guys like Ziyech and Pulisic may be leaving in this window, then I'd love to hope and think that they'd be going to AC Milan to allow us to get Leao. I'm still crossing my fingers for something like this, but I don't want to get too carried away. Regardless though, it'll be very interesting to watch the story as it progresses and develops, because I think there's a lot more to things now that it has been reported officially in the UK, and I wonder how Arsenal may react. But these are the risks that you face when you're so public with your efforts to sign someone. And Shakhtar haven't done any favors whatsoever. So today, you guys, how do you feel about these stories? Are you excited? Do you like the names, the links? Please share your thoughts and opinions and let us all know. So on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys later with a Enzo Fernandez reaction video, so stay tuned for that. Hope you guys have a good day. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys for some more videos. Cool.